Hi guys, good evening. Good evening. So happy to see so many of you here on an awesome Wednesday evening, listening to us, talking to us. Here we are today, talking about an amazing topic for that matter. Will AI like ChatGPT and Midjourney replace my job? So I believe we are a lot of people who want to move from a non-IT to an IT background, and here we'll be soon be joined by one of our amazing guest speakers, Mr. Balraj Singh, a software engineer from Meta, right? So we'll get to go live with him, right? We'll get to speak to him, we'll get to ask our questions, and all of that comes to you live, right? Before I do that, please, if some of you could confirm if you can hear and see me well. Please let me know if you can hear and see me well. It will be great help. Amazing, amazing. Thank you, right. So, guys, giving myself a little introduction. My name is Ikshit Jaiswal. I'm a data enthusiast, like the most of you here, right? I'm a trainer here at Coding Invaders. I have done with more than 1,000 plus academic IT consultations, helping learners like you transform into a full-fledged IT career, right? Now, before I go on and talk about the topic itself, I would want to know a little about you, right? So, why don't you tell me where are you from and how old are you, right? Also, there is a poll that you would see wherein you can tell us, I mean, what age group do you belong to? So, that would be a great help. Okay, can you try logging in? I mean, a lot of people have confirmed that yes, they can hear me. So I'll go by that. Can you try logging in again? Oh, hi Abhay. Hi Vikas. Hi Rituraj. Hi Abhijit. Hi Pooja. Guys, please tell me where are you from? Where are you from? Also, while you do that, there's a poll which talks about which what age group do you come from. If you could just spare a few seconds and fill in that poll. Also, it would be rather important if you can help us understand what are the most comfortable languages for you. Hindi, English, what do you prefer? You'll have a second poll that you can see. Guys, you'll have a poll which talks about the most comfortable language for you. Is it Hindi? Is it English? Hi Shoaib. Hi Vikas. Hi Jiva. Prashant, you're from Delhi. Amazing. Priya. Zakia, you're from Hyderabad. Chaitanya, you're from Coimbatore. Oh, amazing. In the mid 20s. Guys, it seems English is the most comfortable language. We'll try and keep navigating between English and Hindi. Hi Shikha. Hi Sheetal. Hi Harjeet. Great. You've been able to join us from Canada. That's great. Hi Alex. You're joining in from Kuwait. That's amazing. Hi Kesavan. Guys, while you are sharing me those details, let me talk a little about Coding Invaders, right? Coding Invaders is the largest online university based out of Central Europe. Here we have been in India with an amazing aim of putting out at least 10 million people from a non-coding background into tech jobs, right? At present, we have learners from 40 plus countries and a student base of 22,000 plus students and an employment rate of 93% learners. So for every 100 learners joining in, 93% get placed, right? Our amazing hike percentage has been from 30 to 400% hikes, right? At present, we are with 100 plus, we are on board with 100 plus companies for their internal upskilling purposes. That's so amazing. It's so amazing to see a good number of you. Hi, Aniket. Hi, Atul. Hi, Ali. And the best part is, so we got an audience, we got a set of learners from different parts of the country, right? No, now why did you come to the webinar? Please help me understand. It was just to listen to the webinar as to what do we talk about, right? You want to study and look for the courses. You're looking for some specific courses here, right? You are already studying and you want to expand your horizons. I mean, you want to learn more of what you're studying. You want to gain more depth around it, right? Please tell me. Looking forward to hearing from you. There's a major percentage of people. I want to enter IT and looking for the courses. That's amazing. And just here to listen is there's some percentage of people who just here to listen. Okay. There's good percentage of people who are already into IT and want to expand their horizon. Amazing. Amazing. Yes, Aditya, you can ask a good number of questions. You will also find a session which is called Q&A. Only park your questions there so that we don't miss out. You can ask as many questions as you like. That's what you're here for. Right? Guys, before we go ahead and talk about the topic itself, I would want to leave you with a thought. What if there was a possibility of rather than exactly choosing in and opting in for a course, let's say opting in for data analysis directly, what if you could actually experience data analysis through some projects? What if you could experience data science, you could experience front end, back end, and different topics. And then once you are sure of those topics, you could actually opt in for one of those and master those. We'll help you do the same. And to be able to do the same, there's this amazing fee structure of a discounted fee structure for people here in the webinar, which is 7690. So you would find the link on the chat box above, right? If you're interested in knowing about this course, wherein we would train you for 4 weeks on different parts of IT, and then you get to choose on which one do you want to master. Register yourselves above. Guys, go ahead and register. Don't put in a lot of time. Yes, Aditya, you can do coding with BSc. That should not be a big problem. Now, talking about the webinar itself, what will you learn today? You'll talk about how IT is changing the job market in our lives. You must be seeing the technology has entered our job market so very well and our lives that it's impossible to live without it. What jobs will be replaced by AI? So yes, there are possibilities and there are good indications of jobs that would be completely, that would completely go extinct because of availability of AI, right? What is the main profession? What are the most trending professions in IT, right? And stages of creating an IT product. Why is it important for you to know, some bit of all the professions so that you can become a great IT engineer yourself? Yes, Karan, a civil engineer can definitely shift to IT. Anandita, how long will the course go? There are different durations to the courses, right? Guys, your results at the end of the session, you get amazing understanding of the IT world. You understand how IT products are created, and you get an amazing overview of different IT professions. And this comes in from none other than our amazing host, our amazing speaker, guest speaker for the webinar, Mr. Balraj, who will be here with us shortly. Right? And guys, this amazing and unbelievable chance to win a free job guaranteed course. So as of now, you find this chat on your chat box, you find this form that you need to fill. And one of you, the lucky winners who stays with us to the end, gets a chance to win a completely free course on our job guarantee batches starting on this 15th. Right? Guys, I'll repeat this. One of you, an amazing lucky winner of you who fills out these forms available on your chat box, right, gets to study with us completely free of cost, right, without any charges on a job guarantee batch, which starts this Sunday, this 15th rather. So guys, go ahead over it, apply, and make the most of it. Now, without taking up a lot of time, let me introduce Balraj Singh, right? Balraj, hi Balraj.
Hey, hi.
A very good evening to you, and so good to have you with us today, right?
Yeah.
So, I'll not do this on my own. I'll let you do an introduction for yourselves.
Sure.
So, looking forward to it, and please help us understand your journey till now.
Awesome. Thank you, Shit. Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Balraj, and I'm working for Meta right now. I'm based out in London. Overall, my journey has been through multiple startups. I was initially working in India for different startups, and then I moved to Germany, and from Germany, I moved to London. A couple of companies which I have worked on is Ola. So in Ola, I was the person who created. Um, uh, so in Ola, I created the part where you see the map and you see car
Mhm.
moving on. Correct. So that's if you see if you have ever booked an Ola cab and you see a car moving on your mobile phone application, that's done by me. Apart from that,
Amazing
I
to
have
know.
yeah. Yeah, so I have worked in other companies like Hike Messenger, HelloDog. Hike Messenger is a social media application kind of thing. It's a messaging app.
Mhm.
Used to be a
Mhm.
messaging app. Now they have pivoted to a different business altogether. After that, I moved to HelloDog. HelloDog is basically an Indonesian-based company. The development center is here in Bangalore, and it's mostly to do with doctor-patient consultation. So something very
Mhm.
similar to Practo. What's Practo is in India.
Mhm. Mhm.
Post that,
Okay.
I moved to N26, which is like a neo bank, and then
Okay.
I got the opportunity to work in Meta. So currently, yeah, I'm in
Amazing.
Meta. Yeah, um,
So,
awesome.
Balraj, a few questions that crop up to my mind immediately. So
Yeah,
you rarely get to interact with people who are already at Meta, right? That's for sure. And I think you would understand that. So a few questions crop onto us immediately. So
yeah,
it says you're a software engineer at Meta.
yes.
How did you and when did you exactly know that software engineering was your call?
Well, for me, it was kind of, I would say that I started getting the interest in software engineering at a very early stage of my life.
Okay.
Like when I was in school, I was quite interested in programming, and that was the only thing
Mhm.
I'm good at. I was not good at history, biology, or
Okay.
any other subject, but I was good at computers. So
Okay.
writing programs was something which I was into. But it's quite easy to lose interest when you have started get like you have started getting into something very early in your stage. It was quite easy
Mhm.
to lose interest. The way I
Mhm.
kept myself kind of interested in this field was I always kept on learning what's new, and
Okay.
eventually I felt that this is a skill that you need to have. And as an engineer, you cannot
Mhm.
just learn one thing and sit back and think that for your entire life you don't need to upgrade yourself.
Okay.
Upgrading yourself as an engineer is a key part to be successful in this
Amazing.
domain.
Amazing. So Balraj, what I understand here, a lot of learners here are people who are currently studying. There are some of the
Sure.
students that are already here, right?
Yeah.
Some of the learners who are into different professions. They have never
Yes.
done coding, right?
Yes.
How
Yeah.
do you? I mean, so if at all you suggest to them, how do they start into coding, or how do they start getting into IT? What would be your suggestion and the first set of steps to start with?
Yeah. So, getting into IT and being a coder or a developer are two separate things, correct? You can get
Okay.
into IT without being a developer, because development
Okay.
is not just the role that's there in the entire IT world, correct? For example, you can be a QA, you can be a manager, you can be
Hmm.
agile, Scrum Master or something, correct?
Okay.
Um, Being developer, if you want to become a developer, I would say start by learning how to code, correct? Start by
Okay.
small, writing smaller code, practice, like,
Hmm.
because being a developer, you have to have that kind of a mindset where you basically should be able to pick up a problem and create a kind of a step by step solution out of it. And the reason for
Okay.
that is because computer requires step by step instructions, and if you
Okay.
have those things clearly in your mind, you can basically relay that information to computers quite easily, whichever language you choose, correct? For example, if
Okay.
you are a Java developer, you can
Hmm.
write that into Java. But you have to
Okay.
learn to kind of be able to formulate that steps in your mind about a solution that you have.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, makes a lot of sense. Now, I mean, I'll ask this. I think this question comes up as in how you explained me. There were
Sure.
some of the things which I could understand, right? For
Yeah.
someone who is not that good at coding and understand it would take up a lot of time, is it still feasible to get into IT, or I should actually start thinking about something different?
I believe IT is the easiest of all the engineering that's out there. Correct.
Okay,
That's what my personal feeling is, because every other engineering, for example, if you want to become a doctor, or
mm-hmm,
if you want to become a civil engineer, or any other kind of engineering, those professions are are a bit more. I would say it's little more riskier if you come if you
Okay.
have like, let's say, if you are a civil engineer, correct, and you end up having a bug in your whatever construction that you do, or
Yes.
some kind of issue, you will not get a second
Mhm.
chance, correct.
Okay.
But as a developer, you can write a program, correct,
Uh-huh.
for a non-trivial domain, correct. I'm not saying
Okay.
that you write a program for a very critical domain, for a
Okay.
non-trivial kind of a domain, and you can
Mhm.
still basically improve on top of it. You can make mistakes, you can learn from it, and you can move forward with it without
Okay.
having this huge cost of whatever you are trying to do, correct. So I'm saying,
Got it.
it's pretty easy to get into this stream, and I feel that there are a lot more job opportunities. There are a lot more you can career paths that you can take. So it's pretty easy, I
Okay.
would say. If you are a civil engineer, if you are any mechanical engineer, you can surely become a software engineer.
Oh, that's amazing. So, and let's say, Balraj, to that I would add, let's say I am someone who does not like coding that kind. I mean, so I don't get to that kind of coding, right? What can I do with a very minimal amount of coding? What professions can I choose for myself once I want to move into IT for sure?
um if you don't like coding as such,
Yeah.
like this is something which is kind of quite generic. I don't like a certain thing. um,
Hmm.
like even now, for example, if I'll have to learn a new language in programming, I may not like it
Okay.
initially, and the sole reason
Hmm.
for that is because I don't know how to do it. And as a human nature, you tend to basically
Got it.
resist those things, correct. But
That you do not know how to.
yes. So, for example, if you get a
Uh-huh.
guidance, correct, like
Hmm.
your
Hmm.
platform is a way where you can get a good guidance, correct. If there are
Hmm.
people who can kind of help you to go through that journey, it becomes easier
Okay.
and it becomes interesting rather
Okay.
than you struggling alone, sitting at home and trying to figure out everything. You can do that, but
Got
you
it.
should do it at a very like at a very like later stage in your career, once you are
Uh-huh.
kind of master of this stream, correct. But
Uh-huh.
at an
Okay.
early stage, if you want to get into this, I would say you should definitely take some help. There are tons of kind of places where you can go and learn. I think
Uh-huh.
one is your platform too, correct, to do the same.
Definitely, I'm very sure. So, well, here on, I'll not, Balraj, I'll not take much of your
Sure.
time. I would let you continue and take hold of the slides. Right. The
Awesome.
topic here: will AI like ChatGPT and Midjourney replace my jobs, the jobs of someone who wants to get into IT?
Yeah,
Right.
sure.
And we would want to hear your views around it.
Awesome, awesome.
Right.
Moving to the next slide. Okay, so this is a big question. IT is changing the world, and how can you prove it? Well,
Mhm.
I would say that the biggest proof is the messaging app WhatsApp, correct?
Uh-huh.
Like if you go like 10 years back and
Mhm.
think about your life, or
Mhm.
10 or 15 years back and think about your life, it was really difficult to kind of imagine that you will be talking to someone over a call, and you can see that person and basically have a
Yes.
conversation wherever they sit
Yes.
in the world, correct.
Mhm.
At the best, at that particular point of time, 10-15 years back the time, you have this audio calls,
Mhm.
correct.
Yes.
You can
Correct.
make the telephonic audio calls, and if you want to make an ISD call, an international call, it used to cost hell lot of money, correct. But now,
Yes.
with everything getting cheaper, like internet getting way cheaper, WhatsApp, the video and audio calls are free. You can make a call
Mhm.
anywhere in the world, and you can reach out
Correct.
to people, correct. So I think that's one of the biggest example I can give. Others being obviously, you talk about Aadhaar, you talk about UPI, correct.
Mhm.
These are more, I would say, these are also changing people's life. Uh, like, for example, UPI. I believe UPI is one of those kind of important things that happened to
Mhm.
India, and
Yeah.
and like, and it's not there in many countries. Like, for example, when I moved to Germany, correct, I still
Correct.
see that in Germany, you people like to transact through cash more
Okay.
than,
Okay.
than online transactions, correct. And the reason is because it's not like they don't have a system like a UPI or something like that over there, correct. That's one of
Okay.
the things, correct. But I feel UPI helped lot of people to get onboarded into this, like, what you call as the online version of India, correct. You will have your
Correct.
UPI, you can do all the transactions you want, and it's pretty easy and fast, I would say.
Correct.
Yeah, so like Aadhaar being other, like you have your biometric identification, which helps you to basically like have a digital version of your own identity, So that's also another example. You
Correct.
say uh, business transformation. Like I would say, like in case of business transformation, it was mostly, I would say, there are a lot of things that have been automated now. One of the examples which I can give in case of any IT based company was the new. Now you have automation tests. Correct. Earlier there used to be only manual testers sitting in the team. Correct. Who is using the products manually, and basically they used to test the things, everything manually, which was good in that time phase. But now with all this
Correct.
technology and frameworks coming up, everything has been automated. um, so I think that's another thing. Business gets to save a lot of money, and it also say it in the same time they also basically give out a better quality of product because you can run a lot of automation tests around that. um,
Got it. So a lot of repetitive tasks is what goes missing now, right? So
yes.
people who were into these kind of repetitive tasks, these jobs will actually go extinct I think in a matter of few years for that matter.
I won't say the people who are working in those field like QA,
Uh-huh.
the jobs will go extinct. I would say the so every time there is a transformation or there is a new technology that comes up. Correct. For
Okay.
example, ChatGPT. People are saying that ChatGPT would eat up developers' job completely. Correct.
Yeah.
And I strongly disagree to that. The reason is because all of these are just tools and technologies. Correct.
Mhm,
They
mhm.
still AI has a very long way to go before it can compete with human brains. Correct.
Okay.
So these will always be a tool at your home. Correct. Or
Mhm.
or in your office. Correct. To be used
Correct.
and become more efficient in your job. So always
Okay.
think it to be like a tool. Um,
Okay.
like on a personal level, just to give you an example. Correct. In case of ChatGPT. Correct. Until like you if with ChatGPT, the way you can become more efficient is that it helps me to write documentation. So whenever I write code, I can
Okay.
use ChatGPT very quickly to basically create documentation out of that code that I
Out
have
of the
written.
code. Uh-huh.
Correct. Now
Okay.
that's
Uh-huh.
that's that's kind of making me efficient in my job. It hasn't
Uh-huh.
taken away my job, so I don't think that's going to happen in any near future.
Okay. Okay.
So
Got it.
yeah, so just feel free and become a developer if you want.
For very sure. For very sure.
Yeah, I think uh, about personal life transformation. Yeah, I think these are just examples over here about how people's personal life has been transformed. You have food app now. You can order your food at home just by clicking a couple of buttons. You have healthcare app where you can directly to consult doctor online. You don't have to get to the doctor. There are a lot of education application. I believe like if you talk in today's era, every part of individual life is touched by either some app or some services which is provided by an IT company. So there is no way that a person is living in a world in current world and is not using an IT service at all.
Okay.
Um, in what areas is IT changing the world? Yeah, if someone wants to
Yeah,
write.
guys. I would definitely want you to write. So we have actually talked about a few examples here, right? Wherein Balraj has actually talked about how is IT changing things. He gave you an example of your own. So can you write? What is your what things can do your come to your mind? What are the places that things are changing in IT? I mean, how do you think IT is changing your world around you? Why don't you give us a few examples here? Guys, please confirm if you could still hear me. Health diagnosis, we had some. Okay. Abhay, right. Health diagnosis. Okay. Okay. Vikas, thank you. Travel booking. That's amazing, Abhay. Finance, education, bookings, it's everywhere. Studying any courses online. Politics. Oh, someone took the example of politics as to how AI is changing. HR. Okay. So, Balraj, why we have these examples coming in, we can actually move on to the next set of slides. We can
Sure.
talk about what most to come so that we can hear people, and thereafter we can also talk about things.
Awesome. Um, yeah, I think these are just the examples that we have in different domains. Digital payment, you have UPI, e-commerce, you have Amazon, Flipkart. That's good. Identification, Aadhaar. Just to add to that, like Aadhaar being in India, I think out in some foreign countries, like European countries, you have this passport with the NFC chip in it. So it's very
Mhm.
similar to Aadhaar, but it's on the passport side. I think in India also they're going to get this chipped passport very soon.
Got it. Yes.
India,
So,
I think
Balraj, I
Indian
mean,
government is working.
undeniable fact, technology has taken over, and a good part of it is already being controlled by AI.
True.
Right. Now, what does it, I mean, what does it encompass for someone like people who have already taken up some other conventional professions, like being CAs, being bankers?
Correct.
How do we take up this opportunity and improve around it? How do we do that?
So for example, let's say if you're a banker, correct, or if
Mhm.
you're a CA, correct, or any other profession that you are in, okay,
Okay.
there are always tools that are built uh, around using all the AI technologies and software that we have,
Hmm.
correct?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I feel being in that, like for example, if I'm a banker, I should be aware about what are those tools and how I should
Okay.
be using those tools, or maybe
Hmm.
to some extent how to basically tweak those tools to make myself efficient, correct? So if you want to be
Okay.
great banker, or if you want to be a great CA, and if you want to, or you want to be anything great in your own stream, I would
Hmm.
say you have to ultimately learn about IT. You have to ultimately learn about the tools that that is made using IT softwares, correct? So that you can become efficient in your own work stream. That's
Okay.
one thing, correct? If one do not want to completely deviate to being software engineer, they should
Hmm.
be doing this to excel in their stream also, correct?
Okay.
But like if you want to completely move like into the IT world and you want to become a software developer, I think there are ways around it. You can learn coding and all that thing. I think your platform. I think in your platform, I think one great thing which I heard now that you were saying that you can try out different projects
So here, the
as a
Balraj, the idea was we had a lot of students who were coming to us who were unable to understand that should I
yes,
opt in for being a data analyst? Should
yeah,
I opt in for being a data scientist? I've
true,
heard it gives me 40 lakhs of salary, right?
yeah,
Should I be a
yeah,
data engineer? Should I be a front end engineer? Should I be a back
yeah,
end engineer?
yeah,
So the thought was rather than actually you reading it out of Google, right? Or maybe listening to one of your cousins talking to you about it, or siblings telling you, he can do this, and you'll actually be able to find a good job. Why don't you actually get through the projects for yourself? So, in about 4 weeks of time, you take up different projects along with a mentor sitting with you live, right? You do those projects, and then once you're done with those projects, you've got some kind of exposure as to what do these people do on a daily basis.
yeah.
You decide which one do you want to specialize in. So we thought that was an amazing way to start your career rather than just opting in for something randomly.
I think this is one of the a great thing that's happening now, that you guys are providing this facility. But back in
Mhm.
my time when I started with this, I
Yes,
struggled a lot to understand what do I want, correct? It took
correct,
me, I
correct.
would say, 5-6 years of my
Hmm.
professional journey to
Okay,
understand where I should land in, because
correct.
this is not something that you get on a daily
Uh huh.
basis. You can
Uh huh.
go and look into YouTube, and you can go in and look into any other free solutions, that the free videos that are there, but
Hmm.
those are going to only tell you about everything, but the experience and the experience that you actually needed to understand what you like and what you don't like is
Okay.
something you can only get either by being in a company. Now when
Uh
you
huh.
go into a company, correct, you don't get an option to work in every field. Obviously company is not going to pay
Yes.
you for learning, correct? They pay
Uh
you
huh.
for
Uh huh.
working, correct? So
Yes.
I feel that this is a great opportunity that everyone can avail to
Uh huh.
understand what they like and what they don't, and basically
Hmm.
start with what they like first.
Got it. Amazing. So, thank you for that, Balraj. That was an amazing motivation to a lot of learners, right? Moving here, pivoting to a point, I would want to listen from you as to what kind of jobs on what kind of professions does the AI systems like ChatGPT and Midjourney affect. So if we could listen something from you, that would be great.
Awesome. So in terms of chat GPT or AI, the way, as I've already said, that it's not going to eat away like jobs. What it is
Okay.
going to do is basically it's going to remove the redundant part, the repetitive
Mm-hmm.
part, or you could say the part which was very like manual in terms of effort. Correct.
Got it. Uh-huh.
For example, let me give you an example of there were teams in many companies which used to be only responsible for writing documentation.
Okay.
Correct. Content writers as such.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Now I won't say that chat gpt kind of gives you that very profound level of content writing, but it gives you at least a basic of it. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
To write the content, or for example, if there is a startup, if like let's say
Okay.
four people wants to do a startup and they want to
Correct.
quickly churn out a simple sample application to show it to their finances, chat gpt can
Okay.
do that. Correct. You don't have
Okay.
to go behind a developer and do that. So
Mm-hmm.
so it's going to trim certain things. It's going to trim things which were like very low hanging fruits, and it will
Mm-hmm.
do it for you. But ultimately, you will have to depend on the experts of the domains in order to take it to a professional level. Like you will require an
Got it.
expertise to take it to a professional, and these professionals will end up becoming more efficient by using tools like ChatGPT and AI.
Okay, got it. Makes a lot of sense. So, for example, ChatGPT was what was into a lot of trends these days because of the coding that it could do, and a lot of errors that it could resolve. Right. Similarly, we heard about Midjourney, which could actually be talking about a lot of designers and visual artists. Wherein, even if I talk about the slide that you're looking at, a
Yeah.
lot of it has been created by ChatGPT itself. Any
Yes.
ideas around this and any your views around the topic?
So yeah. So it can do a lot of stuff like this, visual designs and everything. Correct. But
Uh-huh.
let's imagine that you want to create a company's logo. Correct.
Okay.
And you think that this chat gpt or any other kind of mid journey kind of thing could help you to do that.
Okay.
um, Correct. Any tools that can help you to basically generate the logo of your company, it can. But the
Okay.
problem with that part is that you have to provide very specific instructions to these tools basically, and for that you have to have that clarity of being a kind of a designer.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Until unless you are not a designer, you don't have clarity of what instructions you have to give to these tools
Correct.
to get that output. Correct. A layman
Okay.
person cannot go to these tools, use these tools, and get the output that they want.
Understood. Understood.
Correct. So that's again
Gives
coming
some
back to the
answer.
same part. Correct. You have to
Mhm.
be a designer to use this tool to get something very useful out of it.
Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Here, so there have been a few reports. I'll move it to here. There
Hmm.
have been a few reports by places like World Economic Forums, wherein they have been talking about how does AI move out a lot of jobs, right? Which is
Correct.
a little anxious. It creates a little anxiety among the people who are actually wanting to join these professions. How do you think about it? I mean, what are your or how do you view this?
Um, So okay, let's understand first the time frame that we are talking about. For example,
Okay.
they're saying
Mhm.
47 in your slide. It says 47% of the jobs today has a very like every chances of disappearing by 2050. Correct.
Correct.
I may not be even working by 2050. Correct. It's 25 years down the line. Correct. So if I
Yes.
become a
Uh-huh.
developer right now, correct,
Mhm.
you should understand
Mhm.
a developer or any professional's entire lifespan of working cannot be more than 20-25 years.
Okay.
Correct. Correct. Because
Mhm.
after a certain amount of time, you will obviously being either you will switch to something else, correct,
Mhm.
or you will take a retirement out of it. Correct. So if I
Got
start
it.
as a developer right now,
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure anyone who's starting as a developer right now will be able to complete the entire career without being actually affected by these tools.
By these
So
tools.
yeah. So when these news comes up, I think there are two parts to this news. Correct. They may
Mhm.
be factual. They are factual to a certain extent, but
Mhm.
there are also a lot of noise in that. And the reason for
Okay.
noise is it doesn't tell you that how is it going to affect your career in next 5 years or 10 years down the line. It says that
Got
in
it.
by 2050 it's going to be something like that.
Uh-huh.
And what you don't think is that by 2050, what I'm going to do? Like, am I going to be still developer if I start as a developer today? Obviously, the
Today.
answer would be no.
Ah,
Correct. A
right,
person who starts
right.
a developer now, by 2050, for sure, either that person is going to be retired or he's going to become some kind of a manager, director, or some company.
Uh, Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. On the brighter end of this, at the same time, it says that the same set of country, it would not actually move out jobs. It will actually create newer jobs. Right? Is this true?
Yeah. I think that's true. So that has always been the case. Correct. New technologies always
Mm-hmm.
do like two things. It basically kind of makes certain jobs redundant, but then again it brings out a lot more jobs. For example, if tomorrow ChatGPT or any other AI tool basically
Mm-hmm.
makes certain job redundant, correct, then
Okay.
there will always be a certain team or set of people who will be required to build things on top of this AI tool, correct, to
Okay.
maintain this AI tool, correct.
Mm-hmm.
So there will always be new jobs that will be coming up.
Okay. Okay. Right. And what kind of jobs do you think will actually be coming up because of the advent of these tools? Was very short. I mean, what are the jobs that
So I
you
think,
see currently in the industry?
yeah, I think being an AI specialist, if you want to be, or ML engineer or data
Mm-hmm.
analyst, correct,
Mm-hmm.
all of these
Mm-hmm.
jobs will still be there, correct.
Okay.
If someone wants to learn, like, so if someone thinks about being an kind of AI engineer and ML engineer, correct,
Mm-hmm.
they will,
Mm-hmm.
these tools will basically enable these AI engineers and ML engineers to build more
Okay.
efficient products.
Okay. Okay.
Correct. So
Okay.
ChatGPT is not just the end of things. It's not that it's some kind of a superpower that has come up and it's going to eventually learn everything and do everything for you.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Got it.
There will always be AI engineers, ML engineers that will be needed to maintain these tools. Correct.
Okay.
There would be data analysts who will be analyzing data and telling these AI ML engineers, see, this is what people are using the most. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
now you need to build certain features on top of it. So that's, I think, data analysts, that's what they do. They analyze the data and basically they give certain information out of that.
So these new jobs that people are actually looking forward to are in trend is not going anywhere. At least, like
No.
you said, the next 25, 30 years. In fact, the roles would evolve, right?
Yes.
You'll
Yes.
have newer responsibilities added to
Yes.
that. But yes, the jobs would change in nature, but the jobs are not going anywhere for sure.
Yes. Yes. That's I think that has always been there. If you pick up the history, you will see the same thing happens every time.
Okay. Okay. So, I mean, as someone who's already working at the helm of things, what do you suggest that a learner should prepare himself or herself with? What's the best way out of it, and what's the best way to make use of these progresses?
Uh, I think the best way is to keep learning, correct? Keep
Uh-huh.
learning these new technologies that is there. Always try
Okay.
out these technologies, always see what these technologies can do, and try
Okay.
to think how you can use them in your daily life, in your work,
Okay.
or in
Mm-hmm.
in 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 any way that you can, correct?
Okay.
Um, so rather than basically being afraid of these technologies that it's going to eat up our thing and let's not
Mm-hmm.
promote it, try to use it and try to leverage around it, I would say.
Oh, makes a lot of sense. Actually, it makes a lot of sense. So there have been, I mean, so there were certain reports around which there are certain, how does a rumor get a lot of fact or how does it get a lot of weight? So there were certain reports wherein it suggested that a lot of entrepreneurs like Elon Musk
Yeah.
himself has signed out petitions to not do any further research on technologies like ChatGPT, right? Do you think there's some base to it or there's a different angle to it and it's being portrayed a lot differently?
I think people like Elon Musk and all that, they make certain statements and they do certain
Mm-hmm.
things, and
Mm-hmm.
which has a very different context. I cannot comment on what Elon Musk is doing or what Elon
Okay.
Musk has said, correct.
Uh-huh.
But what I will
Uh-huh.
say is that these when these people are doing something, they had a very, like, they will have a different context, and
Okay.
by the time the news comes to the general public, correct,
Okay.
it is portrayed
Uh-huh.
in a very different way. It
Uh-huh.
loses all the context that the person is actually having. Correct.
Okay.
So I would say whatever anyone says, correct. I see that people are now into this world where they want to invest into AI, they want to invest into ML, they want to invest more into data analysis. correct? Because that's the future.
Okay. Okay.
Correct.
Got it.
No one wants to stop in it. People may say whatever they want to, but eventually, next 10 years, 15 years down the line, you will see our life is turned upside down with all these technology coming up. And it's
Got
for the good. It's for the good. And the
got it.
people who start now taking up this challenge of understanding these technologies, working with this technology, I would say in coming 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, these were the people who will be leading these technologies and will be like sitting at the kind of top of
Helm of
them.
it. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Makes a lot of sense. So I would want to take it back to the learners who are live as of now. So guys, you have two options here. Either we sit in denial that there are no changes happening and it's the same way of life, right? That is option one. Or we actually take up and accept the changes that are happening and we start upscaling and growing into the digital market for now. What do you choose? Please write it out in the comments. So do you choose option one of sitting in denial or option two of actually accepting it and starting to upskill yourself? Waiting to hear from you. So, in the meanwhile, while we hear a few, few options, option one or option two. Okay, so we already have option two. So there's this question from Mansi Vijay. Don't you think AI tools are one of the biggest threats to technical writers working with software and app development companies? Balraj, over to you.
Okay. I won't say that they are like they are the biggest threat. I would take it up as they make things a little more efficient for the writers. Correct.
Okay.
For example, even right now, if you go to ChatGPT and try to create a technical document out of it, and I did that. This
Mhm.
is my personal experience, which I'm telling you.
Okay.
ChatGPT, ChatGPT would make a lot of mistakes in that.
Okay.
Correct. Now it's up to me to correct those mistakes and present a better picture out of it. Correct.
Okay.
Now
Okay.
that's what I have been always saying, that these tools have not become so efficient, and they are not like so intelligent right now that they basically compete with human brains. They are there to
Okay.
help you out. They are there to make things easier for you. Correct.
Okay.
But they are
Okay.
not going to kind of overtake
Take away the
anyone's.
jobs.
Yes.
Take away the jobs for sure.
Yes.
Exactly. Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. For sure. Now, well, I think you would be the right guy to do this, right? Please help us understand a little what exactly goes on inside the neural networks or AI. I mean, what's the thing like, and how does that work? A basic overview and overlay of the entire schematics.
Okay. So like for example, in case of AI, to basically explain it in a very layman language, the way it works is basically um, you have a model, correct? You train this model through some data, correct? You tell this model basically, if I pass this data, this should be the answer. If I pass second data, this should be answer. And the model, basically the AI model, trains itself. It learns
Okay.
from it, and in the end it starts to predict the answers from the input it gets. Correct.
Okay.
To put it very simply, it's very similar as a kid. Correct. When you have like
Okay.
a 1 year old kid, you teach that
Uh-huh.
kid like how to do things, and it picks
Okay.
up the things very easily. Correct. After that, like
Mhm.
it starts doing things automatic, like by itself. So right now you can think AI to be very similar to a kid. Correct.
Okay.
You have to first
Mhm.
tell this model, this AI model. Now, I'm not going to go into details of AI model because I
Mhm.
believe that will lose the interest. But just start thinking that there is a black box where you start teaching that black box certain things, and in the end, it will start doing the same things. Correct. When you give it us if some kind of a different input or a different environment you put it in. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, just that's a very brief or very vague way of saying what AI does.
Got it. Makes a lot of sense. So Balraj, if here you would want to suggest some people who do not come from a coding background, who do not come from a technical background, how do they start using ChatGPT as a process or as a resource? What's the best way of starting to use that?
ChatGPT. I would say start playing around with it. I did that.
Okay.
Like when ChatGPT came in, I was kind of very interested in it, saying that what all it can do. Correct. And the first
Mhm.
thing I tried to do it, I asked ChatGPT question, which stock should I buy, which gives me the
Okay.
maximum profit.
Okay. Okay.
And it doesn't reply on that. Anyways,
Okay.
uh,
Okay.
correct. But you should start playing around it to understand
Mhm.
what are the boundaries of these tools. Correct.
Okay.
So, for example, if you ask ChatGPT about a financial advice, it will clearly tell
Mhm.
you that it cannot do that.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
And you have to be so there are certain limitations around every tool that's being built. Or
Okay.
if you ask chat gpt to explain certain concepts, it will explain you those concepts, but go back and start google those concepts, and you will see there are certain differences what chat gpt. And for example, if
Mhm.
like the way I have used a very practical example that I have used chat gpt with is,
Mhm.
you can write a cover letter for yourself using ChatGPT.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
If you're applying for a company, you can
Mhm.
ask ChatGPT to write a cover letter for you, or a
Mhm.
job application for you. Correct.
Okay.
So
Mhm.
these are a couple of examples where you can use right now if you want to. That's one of these ways I'm doing it. You can also ask ChatGPT to write certain codes. Also, you can also ask ChatGPT that where should I learn a concept, or like which are the links where are the links I can get from to learn certain concepts. It will help you to do those things. But
Got
yet
it.
again, like, you should understand ChatGPT is in a very early stage, so it may also mislead you in certain things. You have to be
Got
very
it.
careful about that.
Got it. Got it. So you would initially need to explore its boundaries and thereafter ask questions which can
Yes.
actually help you be more productive,
Yes.
and that is how you start interacting with it for that matter. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say just play around with it. Ask whatever you want to.
Right. Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. So yeah. So as a person, just like the slide said, so a person is still needed. I mean, so even if you have chat gpt and even you have someone which a lot of things can be done, a lot of processes can be repetitive, there's still someone needed to operate on it.
Yes.
That's the idea around it, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So
Right.
that's what that's the reason why you should become a you should start looking into an AI or an ML courses, correct, where you will understand how these ChatGPT and everything works around. So, so, so here is the thing: until unless you don't know how an AI or an ML model works, everything
Mhm.
looks like a magic, and everything looks like, oh, this is going to be like it can take over the world and everything. The moment you learn about these topics from a technical
Okay.
point of view, you start
Okay.
getting a clarity that, oh, this is not exactly what I thought. There are
Okay.
boundaries to it. There are this is how it can make mistakes and all that thing. And here is
Mhm.
where I'm going to use it, or I'll be
Got it.
useful to maintain it and all that.
Okay. Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Balraj, thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
I would move on to the next topic, wherein I would want you to talk about the most trending professions in IT, right?
Hmm.
The most trending ones, and what are the what is the main professions of IT? What are the more trending ones, and how does it work? So we'll start with something like a developer. I mean, if you
Yeah.
could please help us understand a little, right? I'll run by the slides in the background to help you a little, but yeah,
Sure.
I'll let you go by yourself.
Yeah. So I think if you talk about trending topics, or the
The
trending
trending, the
professions.
most trending professions, yes.
Professions, correct. So most trending professions right now, you would say developer being one, but then you have different types of developers you have. Correct.
Okay.
You could be a backend engineer, you could be a mobile engineer, you could be an AI ML engineer. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at present, if you want to say the most kind of trending one is, I would say, I feel this is my personal feeling, but it can kind of vary from person to person, is AI. You can be an AI ML engineer, correct?
Okay.
Or
Mhm.
you could be a kind of virtual reality engineer who makes
Mhm.
stuffs in VR, correct? Or a
Okay.
data analyst. I think these three are the ones which are being most asked for
Okay.
right now.
So
Uh,
I'll actually ask the question which you have, which I mean, most of the learners have in their mind, but they're not being able to. The profession that comes easiest, but earns the most money. So your suggestions there?
Easiest and earns the most money. Like, I think you can be a AIML engineer. I can't say. It's tricky for
Okay.
me. I
Okay.
being a mobile engineer, to be honest, I being a mobile
Uh huh.
engineer, that too, I focus a lot more on iOS. I would
Okay.
say that if you're an iOS engineer, you can earn a lot more in European
Okay.
countries.
Got it. Got it.
Okay.
So the scope is, so is it like there are certain specific professions which have more scope in India, and there are different professions in different regions of the world. Is
Yes,
that the
yes.
case?
For example, if you see an Android engineer is valued more in India because there are more Android users. So any
Okay.
startups or anyone who wants to build their product first will build it
Mm-hmm.
on Android. Correct.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In case of European or Western countries, US countries, there are more iOS users than Android users. Correct. So that's the
Got it.
reason any startups that comes up will basically want an iOS engineer to be,
IS engineer. Uh-huh.
yeah,
Mm.
correct, to be part of their team first.
Right.
Correct. So
Right.
it depends on where you are and what market it is.
Right. So if I tend to ask you this question now, so well, let's take up a simple hypothetical example.
Sure.
I am someone who comes in from a mechanical engineering background,
Yes.
and I've been training for the last 3 years, 4 years, and now
Yeah.
I want to get into IT.
Yes.
How do I exactly get to explore? How do I exactly get to understand that this is the profession that I should take up? Is there some specific ways on how I can do it?
So I think one way is what your company provides, like try out different things. Correct.
Hmm. Okay.
Correct. That's one of the ways. Correct.
Okay.
The other way is basically to ask yourself a question that are you interested in solving problems? Correct.
Okay.
If you are interested, if you are a person who is kind of keen, who wants new challenges, who wants to solve problem, then obviously
Mhm.
IT is a place where you can do that in abundance. Correct.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
it's completely up to your own personal nature that what kind of person you are. Correct. There is
Okay.
nothing right and wrong, but it's just personal preferences. Correct.
Okay.
And if
So
you
if
want to, sorry,
yeah, please go on. Please go on.
I'm
Please
saying
go on.
if you want to try out anything new, the best thing is to basically start doing it. Start writing code. Pick up
Okay.
anything very, very simple, correct,
Uh-huh.
and start
Mhm.
doing it, and you will start seeing that whether are you interested in or not.
Okay. Makes a lot
So,
of sense. So what you exactly mean is, so if let's say I am someone who is confused between should I be a front end developer? I've heard it gets me a lot of money, right? Or should I become, let's say, a data scientist, a data analyst? The only way to get to understand that is try these professions for some
true.
time, right?
Yes.
Take up a few projects, work
Yes.
on those projects, take up help, right?
Yeah.
And thereafter choose what you like actually doing.
Yes. Yeah. That's one of the I would say fastest way of doing things.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Because for me, as I said, it took me 5 years to understand all of this.
Okay. Okay. Understood. So you did spend 5 years within the domain itself to actually understand that this is something that you would want to continue into, or this was when you were talking of
Yes.
college.
No, so I think I passed out from college in 2010, and at that particular point of time, it was kind of not very evident with all of these. There were not
Uh-huh.
many learning platforms and things were not there, correct?
Okay.
What you have right now in the market. Um,
Okay.
so the way I started was I started with a company which I got from my college, and in
Mm-hmm.
that I was working on Microsoft's Azure cloud technology. I started
Okay.
from there. Then I was lucky enough to get into mobile development over there. I
Okay.
was worked on
Okay.
Windows Phone, and then
Mm-hmm.
Windows Phone got like it's no more. Correct. So the project
Yes.
got closed. Correct. And
Yes.
I got another opportunity to work in iOS and Android as a
Mm-hmm.
platform. I also tried backend. So now being
Mm-hmm.
in Meta, I have tried multiple things. Correct.
Okay.
But the only thing is that to to basically be able to try out things, you have to either get very lucky and get into those
Mm-hmm.
companies which offers you those things, correct,
Those
or else you
possibilities.
have to,
Uh-huh.
yeah, or else you have to wait a very long time to basically find out new roles, shift companies. It's a very tedious process, I would say.
Got it. Got it. Thank you so much, Balraj, again.
Yep.
Balraj, from here in, I had promised the learners that we'll also get to understand of how is a product created within the IT industry, right?
Sure.
So I would want you to exactly talk a little about it.
Yeah, I think the way the product is created in IT industry, as this chart shows, is that there is a requirement gathering phase where you basically, if it's a B2C or if it's a kind of a, you have a client in front of you, understand what do they want. You gather
Mm-hmm.
that requirement, and mostly it's either done by with the help of data analyst as well as product manager,
Mm-hmm.
combined effort. They bring
Mm-hmm.
out those they understand the data together, and they basically understand what people are looking for. They build up those requirements. Those requirements goes to a UI engineer or a UX engineer, designer, you would say. The UX designer would basically create the experience for those requirement, and this experience would then go to developer. Developer would understand um, what these exact experiences are and how to build them, on which platforms to build them, correct? If it's a dev thing or it's a mobile thing, correct? And they will accordingly build it. Once the build has happened, once you have developed this, writing code and everything, it goes to the next phase of testing. Developers do testing also, but it's not very extensive. They do it from a purpose of like the things are working or not. They then
Okay.
basically give it to QA engineers who are responsible for extensively testing this thing.
Mhm.
Now, I'm telling all of this in a very step-by-step manner, but in today's industry, it doesn't happen in a step-by-step manner. Water flow model is no more used. It's more of an
Okay.
agile or a agile system, correct? Where these
Mhm.
steps happens in parallel. Um,
Okay.
they do not happen one by one. So QA engineer would basically test the product and say, oh, everything seems to be fine. Now it can go out. Once it's gone out to the user, there is a maintenance phase. Now, maintenance phase can be done by the same developer, depending on the size and the people that there are in the company, or there are support
Okay.
engineers separately.
Okay.
You have digital marketing. So when the product is being released, you have these digital marketers who basically will
Okay.
market what you are basically releasing. It's more like a, you would say, a promotion thing, correct?
Got it.
Promotions are
Mhm.
happening around. And
Mhm.
then finally, again, the circle comes back to data analyst and requirement gathering again. So all in
Got it.
all, these are the different steps on a very broad level. This is how things happen.
Mhm.
But in a smaller startup, I would say most of these roles are played by, like, for example, as a developer, I can play a role of QA engineer as well as some kind of semi-manager role, correct? Because in a
Okay.
startup, you don't have a lot of people, correct? So
Okay.
you have to play multiple roles in those startups.
So don't different hats all at the same time.
Correct, correct,
Yeah,
correct.
got
Yeah.
it. Got it. Makes a lot of sense. So here, Bala, to be able to explain the same example, you've taken the example of Flipkart and as to how, as an idea developed, and how do the project managers work on the development process, right, and processes around it. Uh, would you want to take up the same example and go on, or maybe take up an example of, you basically talked about, we saw that feature on Ola, and how do you see that car moving?
Yeah.
So, what were the different phases through which you actually went through and developed that?
Okay. So if I give you that example, the first phase was the ideation phase. That first phase was to basically understand if there is a problem that we are kind of solving, correct?
Okay.
And before this experience was there, correct? The
Mm-hmm.
way things used
Mm-hmm.
to work was that there was a map, and there were just certain, I would say, cars. They were never used to move, and
Okay.
you could see your current location and you can basically book it, correct? The
Okay.
problem the problem that we are facing is that people was not aware about, like, at times you will see cab drivers calling you and asking the direction where you are exactly, correct, what location.
Correct.
You cannot
Uh-huh.
tell them because you don't know where the drivers are exactly, correct?
Correct.
So we saw that there was some kind of a miscommunication between drivers and the customers,
The
and we
passengers.
want to
Uh-huh.
basically bridge that gap. And the way we thought is
Got it.
basically to give a real time information to both to the customer as well as driver, to tell them basically this is the real time location of both of you, correct? And
Okay.
from there onwards, possibly the conversation can go on a much smoother basis, correct? So we picked up this problem. We understood that there was a problem, correct? We
Mm-hmm.
created I
Okay.
we thought that how can we solve it.
Okay.
We started thinking about different solutions. We looked into Uber because Uber was one of those platforms which were already doing these things at that particular
Oh,
point of
okay.
time,
Okay.
correct? And so we try to understand what Uber is doing, correct, and how Uber is doing it.
Mm-hmm.
um, so that's what you call an ideation phase, to understand, you create plans out of it, correct? Once we have those clarity of these are the things we want to do, we want to show a car, we want to show the customer location in real
Got it.
time, correct,
Mm-hmm.
to both the partners, correct, on a map, correct, exactly pointing where they are on the map, correct? Once we had that, we moved into the design and development phase. In design, in the scenario like this, you had a very minimal effort because the map was already there because we were using Google Maps at that particular point of time. The only thing that you need to understand from the designer side was that icons of those cars, correct? What
Okay.
kind of icons do designer want to create? What are the sizes of
Mhm.
those icons, correct, and all those
Mhm.
part.
Mhm.
Once that's decided, we went into development phase where we tried to test out certain. We created a proof of concept for that first.
Okay.
So we call it proof of concept. What does this mean? That it's a very simple implementation of the idea that you have. Correct. It's not
Mhm.
something which you're going to send out to the customers, but a very initial
Okay.
stage implementation, so that you can show it to the business people that this is how it will look. This is the experience that you are going to give to our customers. Correct. And once everyone was onboarded, the product manager was onboarded, the designers were onboarded with the experience, we went into the proper development phase where we actually implemented the feature and moved it to the QA to test it. The interesting part is how QA tested was through live, I would say, examples. They actually booked a
Okay.
cab, they actually experienced it themselves and tried to see how things work. Correct. So
Okay.
I think that's the important thing, that they were basically able to test it. This
Okay.
example. Yeah, and just to tell you that this required both front end. When I say sorry front end, I also mean mobile. Um,
Okay.
Correct. So mobile. This was initially developed on mobile and backend,
Okay.
because Ola as an application was mostly used by mobile users. Correct.
So,
There are very
so what you're telling me is there's a possibility of using Ola on websites or my desktop itself. I mean, I've never done that before, but it's
yes,
exciting to exactly know it's even possible.
it was possible. I'm not sure whether they are still supporting it, but there were very
Okay.
niche or very small set of users who were still using it on desktop also at that time.
Okay.
Correct. So and also you have this concept of mobile app, mobile
Okay.
website, M website,
Uh-huh.
what you call,
Okay.
correct. So people
Uh-huh.
like in devices where you do not have support of apps, correct.
Okay.
Um, M website is the thing that people use. So
Okay.
there is also a way that you can book Ola on M website.
Got it. Got it. Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. And thereafter, post testing, you release the final product, and
Yes,
thereafter you start monitoring as to how are people reacting to it.
true. Yeah.
Uh, what are the changes in maybe let's say the miscommunication? Is there
Yeah.
any change to it? And that's how you keep reiterating the product, and that's how you decide.
Yes, yes. So I think that's a step which keeps on continuing. Once the product is out, it goes
Mhm.
into that phase where you keep on improving it based on the feedback that you get from the customers.
Right. And now comes the analytical part of it and building an analytics dashboard so that you can actually monitor the usage and the impact of that particular feature include.
Yes, that's one part, but during development, you also have to decide that what data you want to capture. So
Okay.
during development phase also there is a part where data analysts are involved to understand what are the data points you want to capture. Correct. So
Okay.
for example, if the user is seeing the map, I want to capture how long is the user seeing. That helps me to
Okay.
understand the user engagement. Correct.
Ah,
How well
okay.
the user is engaged in the feature. Correct.
Okay.
If the user is clicking on the map, I want to understand where is he clicking, why is he clicking. Correct. So
Okay.
all of this information is decided prior to like during the development phase mostly.
Okay. So while you are developing, you exactly are sure of what are the parameters that you are actually solving, what are the questions that you're actually solving, and you
Y-
develop things accordingly, and you also collect the data points accordingly.
Yes, yes. So we need to understand that what we want to understand, what we want to get back from the users, and that's how we decide on the data point that we are capturing.
Amazing. Perfect. Perfect. Gives out, I think, a lot of clarity on how this works. And
Yeah,
thank you so much for that.
sure,
Thank you so much. So yeah, the data analytics part is what we were talking about. So here, let's come to the analytics part for that matter. Here,
sure.
if you, in the example that you gave us, in case you want to help us understand how will a data analyst work and how will a data scientist work. So are there different roles altogether, or they work together? And what's the major small bit of difference between the two roles?
Um, okay. So the way it works is that data analyst is the one basically who analyzes the data that you capture. For example, as I was saying, correct. Uh, During development, we decide on what are the data points we are capturing. Correct. Once
Correct.
that
Mm-hmm.
data gets into a database, correct.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Mm-hmm.
that's just a data. you have to
Okay.
transform that data into some meaningful information. You need to
Okay.
understand what the data means. Correct.
Okay.
So
Mhm.
this is the part where data analyst comes into play. Correct.
Okay.
This is where they basically collect, analyze the data, correct, and tells business that this is what they think from the data. Correct.
Okay.
Is this the upward, like, is this feature a engaging feature for the users? If not, why is it not? Correct.
Okay. Uh-huh.
What are the things that are missing? Correct. So that's the part where data analyst comes into play.
Analysts come in. Okay.
Correct. So analyzing
Yeah.
the data, they use different tools and things to analyze data. Correct.
Okay.
Whereas data scientist, on the other hand, I would say plays a slightly different role. Correct.
Okay. Mhm.
The way that data scientist plays that they understands, they also basically, and they have to obviously understand what data analyst is doing. Correct. Once that
Correct.
information is there, correct, they
Mhm.
helps you to predict how the trend is going to change. Correct. What are the
Okay.
things that are going to happen in future, and this is all
Mhm.
done through, as you have seen, that this is all done through machine learning and AI
Okay.
technologies. Correct.
Okay.
um, and the way this happens is basically they feed in these datas into these AI models, and they try to basically improve these AI models to predict user behavior in
Okay.
future. Correct. So
Okay.
they can predict the user behavior. For example, um, in a shop, or in a kind of a shop, which
Okay.
season what product is going to sell most is something which you can predict.
Okay. Yeah.
Correct. Which helps you to
Mhm.
keep your inventory up to scale. Correct. So
Okay.
if
Okay.
you are a person who if you are a person, correct, who wants to be at the top of your business, you will use these kind of things. Correct. And
Okay.
this is how data scientist comes into play, where they play an important role to predict certain things so that business can prepare itself to cater those scenarios.
To cater those scenarios perfectly. So you can plan and prepare for the scenarios that are about to come in, and you can plan on that.
Correct.
Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Just here, Balraj, I want to ask you this very amazing question. I think this question has been asked by Anjali,
Sure.
and after I do this question, I would want to continue with a second part to it. Does data scientist job? So, do you think a data scientist job can be automated anytime soon?
No, I would not say data scientist job can be automated anytime soon. I would say data scientists are the ones who automate
Most of the
things.
jobs.
Yeah, most of the jobs. It would be the other way
Okay.
around.
Okay. Okay. Makes a lot of sense. And so there's a lot of confusion around with people, and there's a lot of confusion around with learners. Should I take up data analysis or should I take up data science? How will you want to work around it? Or if you are someone giving out a suggestion, how will you work the person around? So how data analysis, data science, which one do I choose?
So I would say it's completely up to you. Correct. So
Mhm.
both of the roles are quite important. Correct, and
Okay.
they play different parts. Um, they play different parts in the business that you're working in. Correct. um,
Hmm.
if you are a kind of a person who tries to I would say love to work around with data. Correct.
Okay.
If you're a person who wants to see the data and kind of do certain, change that data into kind of some good information, I would say data
Okay.
analyst is the one that you should go in.
Okay. Okay.
If you like to write SQL queries, if you like to play around with databases, data analyst is the thing that you can go
Okay.
with. Correct. If you're comfortable with
Mhm.
databases, correct, I would say.
Okay.
If you're a person, I would say, who are interested in AI ML modeling, correct, that part,
Mhm.
correct, then data scientist would be more important for you, or more
Okay.
interesting. So
Okay.
it completely depends on what you are expert, or what you are actually looking into, which side you are looking into. As
Okay.
an AI/ML model, AI/ML engineer, data scientist would be the one, the thing. As a person who can play around with databases, write SQL queries, and all that, data analyst would be a much better fit.
Got it. So, I mean, why was I asking this question? Let's take up Milind as an example here. Milind says, "I'm from core sales background. How will this help?" I mean, so someone from so for Milind who is into sales, right? Who has no background into tech, or he might have taken tech as a as a subject as a syllabus in his college, right? Should he start with data science or data analysis? Your views around it.
Um, I would say, sorry. Yeah. So as a person, like if you're a salesperson and you want to take up what you want, data scientist or data analyst, this is going to be a hard one. I would say data. I can say that data analyst
Okay.
uh, because the reason is because once you analyze the data, let's say sales data itself, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You learn about how to analyze data and everything, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You would understand what you were doing, correct? So, for
Okay.
example, as a salesperson, I'm selling certain things, or 100,
Mm-hmm.
100 people are there who are selling
Mm-hmm.
certain products, correct?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
You can take that information, you analyze it, and you can tell to your boss saying that this is the product which is being sold most during so and so period of the year, correct?
Okay.
So we
Mm-hmm.
should focus on this thing sales, correct? Or there
Okay.
is a certain product which is not being sold at all, or it's
Mm-hmm.
the most difficult thing to sell, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Let's kind of
Mm-hmm.
not do this. Let's save that time.
Okay.
Use it somewhere more
Okay.
efficiently. I think you can do a lot more with that info. Once you get to use this
Okay.
tool and understand how this works, you can excel in
Mm-hmm.
your job itself.
Right. And thereafter, once he is already a data analyst, moving to data science, maybe 2 years, 3 years later, if he continues enjoying that, becomes a more easier version of the job.
Yeah, I can say that.
Okay, perfectly, perfectly. Thank you so much for that, Balraj. That was an out of the way question. I just thought I'll pick it up from the chat box, chats, and actually ask it of you because we were discussing data science, data analysis,
Sure.
so became an important one. I would go back to my learners again. Guys, stay tuned in the next few sections of the things. I would ask the questions from you. So there would be a Q&A session from whatever questions that you have that we can ask Balraj for his way of looking at it. Plus, we'll also train you, we'll also teach you, we'll also help you understand on how to choose the right profession for yourself. Just stay tuned and be available. But before we go on there and we talk about it, guys, on your chat box right now, you have this amazing opportunity. So one amongst you will be a lucky winner of a completely free of cost, course into our job guarantee batch, which starts 15th of this month, right? So go ahead, assign yourself for it, right? I know you'll have a lot of questions, but our consultants here will actually be able to take it up, right? So do not waste a lot of time. Go ahead and apply, right? While we do that, right, let's talk about, I mean, we've been talking about it on and off, but let's talk about how to move to IT, right? So there's a lot of things, how it works, just like I was actually explaining it to you in between the course, I'll do it again on a very short basis, right? Often what we see when you buy a course for yourself, which actually helps you propel yourself into IT, the courses are offered. So you take up courses basis, let's say what your siblings tell you, right? Or basis, let's say what you find, what you have been actually hearing a lot into commercials, into advertisements, and that is how you take up a course. After you try studying that up because just like you said, whenever you start with something, it's really hard to start with, and thereafter you quit after a few weeks because you think this is not something for you, right? And as a result, you not only lose on money, that's money is completely okay, that will come in again, but you lose most importantly on time. And in most of the cases, you give up on your dream to find and move yourself into IT or coding as a career or tech as a career, right? Here, a solution from coding invaders, rather than actually opting in for a specific course without actually knowing about it, right? This course offers a 3-in-1 course package wherein the first step is a career guidance for the first 4 weeks, wherein through live projects, through live settings with an expert, you get to explore different professions, the most trending ones, the professions like data analysis, data science, front end, back end, a QA engineer. How important are these professions? We have just talked about it while I was discussing the details with it with Balraj. And thereafter, after these 4 weeks of training, you get to go through a lot of psychometric tests, right? Post those psychometric tests, we give you out suggestions on what would be the best career for you, and you get to choose that one career for yourself wherein you master on that career for it I mean, for the next 8 months for that matter, right? And thereafter, you go into an on paper job guarantee program, right? Coming up more with it, but here on, I would go ahead, right? So if I know you'll have a lot of questions without what I've just explained, please hold those questions. Before I answer that, I would want to take up a Q&A with Balraj. So I have a few questions here, Balraj. I would exactly read it out to you. A good 6, 7 questions is what Manoj has helped me shortlist, right? And I'll help you move across with that. So this is a question from Vidit, right? What is your thought whether software development will be a stable job in future after the ChatGPT and AI coming in? I know you've already talked about it,
Yeah.
but yes,
Yeah.
people are still curious.
The short answer would be, yeah, it's going to be stable. It's going to be stable for a very, very long time, as long as you, like, someone do not develop a human AI kind of thing, correct? Where they can,
Okay.
like, more like, if you have seen a movie like a Terminator or something, if someone develops something like that, which is not going to
Okay.
happen in many years to come. Still, AI is very naive. It's very at a very early stage, so you don't have to worry about. You can be an AI engineer who develops something like this. Correct.
For sure, for sure. Thank you so much for that. I'll move on to my next question. This question comes in from Alok. Sir, I'm pursuing BCom and I'm from the field of commerce. Would I be able to cope up with IT sector simultaneously with my own field?
Yeah, I think so. Because to be honest, like, when I was when I was studying in my BTechs, correct. So there were many people from mechanical background, electronics background, who actually applied into IT companies, and they got into those, and they were able to cope up with working within
Okay.
the company itself, correct. So I think,
Okay.
irrelevant from wherever you are, whichever background you are, it should not be kind of a thing which you cannot do. It's a pretty simple thing. I would say start doing it now, correct.
Okay.
And you will be able to become successful in it.
Amazing. As an extension to this podcast,
Yeah.
so this is a question from Mohammed. He asks, what about researchers like PhD chemistry? Can be inter IT? If yes, what domain?
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
Yes, I would do that. So this is a question from Mohammed. He
Okay.
asks, what about researchers like PhD chemistry? So people
Okay.
who are doing their doctorates in chemistry,
Okay.
can they enter IT? If yes, what domain? So what domain would be most preferable to people who are studying chemistry as doctorates?
I think people who are studying chemistry, I would say start with basic development.
Okay.
Correct. You can start writing code. There are many languages which I remember are used by scientists to
Mhm.
help them to basically develop all these formulas and everything. I don't exactly remember on top of my mind which languages are those, but I do remember
Okay.
there are languages which basically are used by scientists to
Okay.
help them to excel in their job. Correct.
Uh-huh.
So try to figure out those languages which helps you to do that, and you can
Okay.
basically use that as a point of starting for yourself.
Okay. Got it. That's actually a happy answer to that. I'll move on to the next question. This question comes in from Jiva. So
Mhm.
Jiva asks, is there more scope in IT field in India or the countries outside? I mean, so different parts of the world.
I would say at present there is a lot of scope in India. Correct.
Okay.
Like, there are a lot of there is a lot of scope in India and outside. Like, earlier people used to go from India to US to earn more, but if to be honest, right now people are almost earning as much as the people are earning outside. So I've seen there are a couple of friends of mine
Mm-hmm.
who are picking up a package of more than 1 CR
Mm-hmm.
being an
Okay.
engineer, correct, in India, correct.
Okay.
So that's something which is really amazing, because I cannot imagine this number to be true 10 years or 10 years back. Correct.
Okay.
I thought that a developer cannot earn more than, like, cannot ever earn one CR. But today, in today's world, in India,
That's
it's
a
possible.
physical possibility.
That's very possible. That's very much possible.
That's very possible. Right. Right. Balaj, I would move to I think my favorite question. Just like I was telling, money is the best motivating factor when it comes to IT. So this question comes in from Anjali Atya. She asks, "Sir, I want to know which career I should choose in IT that will get me the most high-paying jobs in future."
Become a developer.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
so to be very specific, if you want to, so
Mhm.
there are two parts to this. If you want to have a
Uh-huh.
high paying job, correct,
Mhm.
you can get a high paying job being a developer of
Mhm.
any stream, correct? If you want to
Okay.
become an
Okay.
AI engineer, become an AI engineer, ML engineer, correct?
Mhm.
There would be a very small difference. Maybe it's easier to get a higher paying job being an AI or ML engineer
Mhm.
than being a backend engineer. But in the end, if you want to enter into the realm where you are earning more than one CR, and
Okay.
which I, as I said, that it's possible, correct?
Uh-huh. Mhm.
You have to basically start understanding what business want and try to sell that, correct, that you
Got
are
it.
capable enough to achieve that thing for business, and business is going to pay you, correct.
Got it.
So always understand this is always the thing that you can get in any way that you want, but just become a good developer. Whatever you
Got
do,
it.
whatever stream you choose, just excel at it.
Right. So is it a good way of putting it that let's say you're looking at a 1 CR salary,
Yes.
for getting that kind of salary, you should actually be able to solve a 50 CR, 100 CR kind of a problem.
Yes, you should be able to first identify that that's a problem, correct?
Uh-huh.
There is a problem like that. First, learn how to identify those problems, correct?
Got it.
And
Uh-huh.
then basically you can easily sell those things to the business to
Okay.
get that kind of a salary.
Amazing. Makes a lot of sense. Thank you. I would move to our next question, which I think would be a little more relevant to the webinar that we were having,
Sure.
right? We were discussions we were having. This is question from Tripti.
Okay.
She asks, is there any AI tool that creates software by just giving them the description of what I want?
Uh, uh, ChatGPT can do that to a certain extent, but then
Okay.
the straightforward answer would be I would say no to a to a big extent. The reason is because if you are not a developer, correct,
Okay.
you will not
Mhm.
have that line of thought that what instructions I have to give.
So
Correct.
what prompts are to be given?
Correct. So, for example, if you tell ChatGPT right now, build me an application which works similar to Flipkart, it will not be able to.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Correct. Or build me an
Mhm.
application which works same as something like Ola or something like. It will not be able to do. You have to explain explicitly that I want step A, this thing. I want
Mhm.
step B, this step C. And
Okay.
if you're able to
Mhm.
explain that, obviously to a chat GPT, you're almost on
Mhm.
the verge of becoming a developer because you have that same mindset. It's just that you have to, instead of
Got it.
writing it to chat GPT, you have to write it through some programming language.
Understood. So you basically need to have that kind of bent of mind to exactly even get that same thing extracted out of ChatGPT for sure.
Correct. Correct.
Understood. Understood. Uh, Balaj, that would bring to my last question, right?
Awesome.
I think and a very important one, right? This is a question from Kritik, right? And he says, "Sir, I want to ask one thing that I want to join a good IT company. How can I crack interviews?"
Okay. So cracking uh cracking any interviews, I think the first thing is that you need to understand what that company is looking for. For example,
Mhm.
when I was placed in Meta,
Mhm.
like there are a lot of resources that I read about, like what kind of questions Meta ask, correct.
Okay.
um
Okay.
what is Meta looking for in an engineer, so you have to understand the, so you should always consider cracking an interview is more like a cracking a competition. Understand
Okay.
the competition first, understand
Mhm.
what it is, what it requires, and prepare for that.
Mhm. Okay.
So, for
Got it.
example, these days it's very common that there are companies who ask for problem solving a data structure, correct?
Mhm.
That's one of
Yes.
the rounds, correct? Or an architecture or design round, correct?
It is on round.
Prepare for
Mhm.
those things up ahead, and once you prepare for that from a technical point of view, you should start doing mock interviews. That would also
Got
help
it.
you to basically be more confident in what you are saying, correct?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So there are
So
always
you
times that
you
you know
prepare
things.
and then you
Yeah.
do a mock.
Yes.
Exactly. Mhm.
Yeah. So there are times you feel that you know things, but in an interview, because of the pressure and the nervousness in that interview, correct, you tend
Mhm.
to not able, you are not able to put that into words, and then you see,
Got
oh,
it.
I lost that chance, correct. So just
Okay.
try to do mock interviews as much as possible. Find people who can
Okay.
help you with that, correct, and just be confident in what you are saying.
Got it. Makes a lot of sense, and I think that answered the question to a great extent. Balraj, thank you so much for
Sure.
your time, and it was an amazing evening that I spent. And I mean, until we can actually do this again, and we can talk more about your level, of your areas of expertise, and
Sure.
other things that we can learn from you, uh, as and when the final question from me would be any final set of words that you would want to help our learners understand that you think would be most relevant to people who want to move from non-IT or non-coding backgrounds to coding backgrounds? Where do they start? Any final set of wisdom words as such?
I would just say that if you want to if you want to basically start being a developer or start want you if you want to go get into IT world, correct?
Mhm.
Try it now. I think now is the best time. Just not look into the all these weird news that are coming that ChatGPT is going to eat up all the developers
Okay.
jobs and everything. Correct.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Stop yourself from being distracted and focus on what you want to get in your
Okay.
life. Correct. And
Okay.
I'm very confident that if I can do it, I believe everyone can do it.
Okay. That seems a lot of coming in from a lot of motivation and inspiration. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for that, Balraj.
Okay.
And thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for
Thank you.
the evening today.
Yeah. Thank you. It was a great session. Yeah. Thank you everyone, and
Thank
good
you
luck
so
to
much
everyone.
for that.
Okay.
Thank you.
See you. Bye bye.
Guys, that was Balraj Singh with an amazing experience of his own. I believe most of your questions are answered. If you want to connect with him, you can find his LinkedIn profile right there on the chat box, right? You can connect with him there. And if you have questions which could not be answered through this, you could actually go ahead and ask. But here, like I promised, I would go ahead and talk to you about how do you choose the profession of your choice. But before I do that, your final opportunity to win in this free course, right? You will get a link to this free course and how to register for this free course right here on the chat box, right? Register yourselves, right? Our lucky winner amongst you will get to win a completely free course in a job guarantee batch, which starts this Saturday, this 15th, and you'll have an amazing opportunity. Do not waste out on that, right? Now, talking, coming back to the topic and talking about how to move to profession. Guys, have you actually given it a thought? Have you actually discussed it? I'm very sure there might have been that one moment in your life wherein, while you were sipping your cup of tea or coffee, you might have been discussing it with your siblings, your parents, or your friends. What if that was a feasibility that you could try different professions for yourself and get to choose a profession you like most? So let's imagine while you were freshly out of school, you got to be an engineer for a week, you got to be a doctor for a week, you got to be in defense for a week, you got to be an advocate for a week. And thereafter, once you do it for a week, right, you get to choose which profession do you like. And for the rest of life, you could spend your time mastering that profession and doing great into it, right? Don't you think that's an amazing way of looking at things? It's a very similar opportunity here, but we concentrate to IT only. So here, as a way of looking at things, we understand it's difficult to find what is best for you. So rather than us telling you which job do you take, you experience every job for yourself. So just like the slide says, for the first 4 weeks, we will exactly train you live and expose you live to 5 different professions. What are these professions? We'll talk about data analysis, right? We'll talk about data science. We'll talk about front end. We'll talk about back end, and we'll talk about QA engineer, right? And all of these sessions would happen live with our mentors and experts, right? Where you get to ask your questions one on one, right? You ask your questions, you go through a little psychometric test, and then we give you out our suggestions as to which profession would choose you, would suit you best, right? And that's the profession on what you master. And thereafter, sign in our 100% job guarantee program, which comes in writing, right? Who is this course for? People, those who need a guaranteed entry into IT, and the course starts from scratch. When I say scratch, what do I mean? So let's say we start training you on Google Sheets. We'll even train you on how to open up a Google Sheet, right? Second, people who want to change their career but do not know what profession suits them, right? Freshers who are looking for better opportunities, better career opportunities, who are passing out their colleges in about 5 months of time, 6 months of time, or people who want a stable in-demand job, right? You just saw recession hitting and a lot of people losing their jobs, right? You often see people who work into support kind of backgrounds, work into sales kind of backgrounds, and have really unstable jobs because it's completely target oriented. If you want to move into more stable and in-demand jobs, this is the right course for you, right? Talking a little about it, how does it work? So the career guidance course goal is to have a mixture of all the three. So what you like, what are you good at, and what is in demand. We make a combination of these, and that's what you get to choose for yourself. So we help you choose a course which is into trend. There's a lot of job opportunities for you, and you can start off your career. Let's say you're a fresher. When I say you're a fresher, let's say you're freshly out of college or you've been into job for the last 6-7 months, right? You can still get to start at something close to 6.57 as an average salary package, right? That's what I was talking about. In these 4 weeks, we talk about 5 different professions: a data analysis, data science, what is the difference between the two, backend developer, front end developer, and a QA engineer, right? With these four expressions are completely user friendly, so beginner friendly. So you start from scratch. Just like I gave you an example, when I say scratch, you even talk about how to open up the software. That's where we begin, right? The course is specifically designed for people who come in from a non-IT, non-coding background and who want to start their career and who have no basics on how does coding happen, right? The vacancies that you saw, the courses that you saw, the professions are professions that have a large number of vacancies in the market and have good salaries ranging from 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs to start with, right? And just like Balraj said, these professions will be in demand for at least the next 20-25 years, right? And I think it was a very valid point. That's the maximum that you would be looking forward to working, right? Right? So how does it act? How does the unique 3-in-1 package work, which is called Start in IT? So after the 4 weeks, you choose a profession for yourself. You take 8 months of time in mastering yourself, and thereafter are dedicated career services wherein you get 100% job placements, right? And that too, these job placements come in with a written on paper guarantee. So there's nothing that comes in verbally; it's an on paper guarantee that you get it, right? Right? So master IT profession from scratch in 8 months, teach you only those tools that employers need to make you job ready, right? So please try and understand what if we could pick up 100 different job descriptions and find out this intersection of all those job descriptions, whatever is common, and that is what you could get yourself trained on. Jivan asks a question: can data scientists do data analysis? Jivan, I think it's the other way around. You start when you are at basics, you start with data analysis, and thereafter, if you have your continued interest there, you can move on to data science, right? So how will we help you? It's a simulator based program wherein we simulate everything that you would be doing in the profession, right? It's like, you might have heard of that example wherein a fighter pilot or a pilot of airplane pilot sits in a simulator and does a lot of simulation flying. Similarly here, you will have a simulator based learning wherein you sit and you practice everything that you would be doing at the profession daily. Now, you'll have live sessions at the weekends. You'll have job oriented projects. These are projects created by industry professionals from companies like Philips, Meta, Wipro, Infosys, etc. Right? And you get the best part about these projects is you get one-on-one mentorship. So let's say it's almost like you having one teacher available to you who solves your problem. So initially the problems are solved on the chat, and thereafter you get access to, in case you still don't understand, you get access to one-on-one video calling based solving. Right? Now, so you have the weekdays is when you have the simulator based learning models, and weekends is when you have the live webinars. A few screenshots here as to how do you learn it, right? Guys, again, repeating, you'll have a lot of questions, a lot of things that I'm not being able to talk about here. Register yourselves, and a lot of other consultants like me will actually be able to solve your queries. Listen, make sure all your queries are solved here, right? It's a project-based learning with one-on-one mentorship, just like I talked to you about. This has around 1,500 plus assignments and 10 projects, which also reflect on your portfolio that goes forward for your hiring, right? We've already talked about this topic as to how does the unique 3-in-1 course package works, right? How do we guarantee you a job? Please make sure you understand that we know what employers want from junior IT specialists. You will master only the essential tools at the end of the course. We make sure we help you apply to 300 to 1,000 job applications, and don't stop unless you get your job. So when we say a job guarantee, we are there with you unless we make sure you have a job. right? How do we make sure you get a job? We help you through our mock interview processes. We help you optimize your resumes, your LinkedIn profiles. We also expose you to a lot of freelancing websites, right? And a lot of mock interviews that goes in before you can actually get into yours. What essentially you get while doing things, you get 10 amazing portfolio projects. When I say 10 amazing portfolio projects, that's approximately 10 to 1.5 years of work for an IT professional, right? You get 3 different mock screening calls and tech assignment preparations, and you get an amazing career service to take you forward with, right? Guys, so when you start yourself into IT, let's say you are starting off as a fresher, you start off at 5 to 7, which is not the starting barrier. This is just an average value that you get. And thereafter, in about 3 to 5 weeks, months of time or years of time, you can move across at 15 to 35 lakhs of salary. And if you travel abroad, there's no limit to what you can achieve. So make sure you get the most about this opportunity. Guys, finally, my last announcement to this, last few seconds on which you can actually get in this completely free course. Mind you, people who stay till the end are only entitled to this free course, right? So if you've already left and you've registered yourself, your name comes up, you by default disqualify. If you still stay till the end and if you're looking for the course, that's how you achieve it, right? Right. Last few seconds, guys, go ahead and register. Already a lot of registrations that have come in, right? All the best to you, right? Go ahead and register. Even if you do not bring this, you have an amazing pricing, an amazing discounted pricing to help you with it, right? Make the most of it, right? I would be announcing the results in the next few minutes, right? I would give you a few seconds before you can actually go ahead and register yourselves, right? Guys, go ahead. Come on. The last few seconds, the last 10 seconds is how we count down, and I'll explain to you how we choose our learners, right? All the best. Come on. It's finally an opportunity to get to understand. Thank you, Prashant. Thank you. I hope you win, right? Done, right. Let's announce the results. How do we do that? Let me help you understand, right? So this is a sheet wherein we collect your announcements. We presently have around 78 people who have already registered themselves, 79 now, right? Dipali is the last 80 now. That's amazing, guys. I think I'll give you a few more seconds before you can actually go forward, right? So 82 as of now, 83. That's amazing, guys, right? And while the few seconds you register, I would show you this. So this is one tool which helps me generate a random number. I'll show you how does it work. So every time I run this through, it shows me 28. I'll run this 3 times to make sure I can show you it's random. It says 96. It says 24. Right? It says 24. Right? I hope you can see my screen. So finally going. All the best, guys. I hope all of you have already registered. You've got 87 numbers at current, right? Right. So I'll just run this by. All the best. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. It says number 40. Let's see who is the lucky number 40. Praful. Praful, are you still here? Praful, amazing. Congratulations. You have just won the free course. Praful, are you here? I believe, uh, yes, Praful is here. Yes, Praful is here. Guys, Praful, make sure you listen to this. Congratulations, Praful. Make sure you listen to this, and you'll get a call from our consultants. Make sure you don't miss out on that call. That would be very important, right? That would be very important. And now, guys, congratulations, Praful, and we hope to make the most of it, right? Now, talking about the results and the possibilities here, I would answer the last few questions if you have any, right? Congratulations, Praful, right? right? For guys, Mukul, no worries at all. You have this amazing offer of 7690. Amazing offer. You are saving approximately 5,000 rupees every month through this offer, Mukul, right? Let's connect and let's talk about what are you exactly looking at. And I believe uh, that's okay, Milin. That's okay, Milin. That's okay, Milin. You can still register yourself and we can talk about the problems that you have. We can talk about any queries that you might have. You can ask any number of queries there, and that is how we can go on. There's this amazing offer of 7690 every month to go forward with, right? Gaurav, you can register and we can talk about it, right? So it's 7690 across 12 months of EMI is what we are looking at, right? You can do the calculations, some bit of it. Talking about you do not require to put in the money immediately or completely. You've got an amazing EMI program, which is completely at zero interest. So you'll not pay any interest. And our counselors and our consultants will actually help you go through, right? So no fees is no, you do not pay any interest. And in 12 months of time, you complete your fees and you are ready to become an amazing engineer to start with, right? As an additional offer, guys, as an additional offers to people who are still here, right? If you join in along with one of your friends, if you join in along with one of your friends, for every friend that you refer, for every friend that you refer, you get an additional 5,000 rupees as an offer, right? Or let's say your friend joins after you, you get a as a thank you, you get 5,000 credited to your account, right? Do not lose out this opportunity. It's amazing to have one of your friends doing it together and you also earning out of it. You're getting a lot of discounts out of it. That's always amazing. Utilize this opportunity to the maximum, right? Right. Now, guys who are here for certificates, people who are still looking at certificates, how do you do that? So here you'll find our links, right? Reach out to our Facebook page and our Google page. Send out amazing, genuine feedback to the session. What other things will you want here that we should be including here? Please write about it. And when you're done writing about it, make sure you send out a screenshot of that review on info@codinginvaders.com, right? Write out your honest reviews on how do you think, what other things do you want to be included, or in case we could not cover something, we would want to do that, right? And send out those screenshots of those reviews on info@codinginvaders.com, right? And you would get your certificates in about on the very same email in about 1 to 3 days of time. Guys, you were an amazing audience, guys. You were an amazing audience. I believe I have been able to answer a lot of questions for you, but I still think there were a lot of questions that could have been answered. If you still want to connect with me, register yourselves. I'll try and talk to you directly, right? Register yourselves, get your queries cleared, and I think now is the right time to start. If you have been dealing this for about 2 years, 3 years, for 2 years, 2 months, 3 months for now, if you're still looking at things, connect with us now, and I think today is the right time to start. All the best, guys. All the best. You were an amazing audience. Thank you for spending your evening with us, right? We hope we could bring you some value and looking forward to many more sessions with you. Thank you. Thank you so much.